In this video, we're going to learn how to create what are called stem and leaf plots, and stem and leaf plots are just charts that help us organize numbers in a certain way. So let's jump into example 1. We have this data set with all these numbers right here. So what we want to do first is understand what a stem and leaf plot kind of is and what the different parts are. So we're going to draw a table like this. So it's always going to be a 2-column chart. And on the left, we're going to have our stems. And on the right, we're going to have our leaves. And in this case, because we have whole numbers, we don't have decimals, which we're going to have in the second example, our stems are going to be the tens place of our numbers, and the leaves are going to be the ones place of our numbers. So what we want to do is first organize our numbers by their tens digits. Right, tens place here. And we're going to write down all the numbers that have a tens place of 0. So all the single digit numbers, and we're going to write them in order from least to greatest. I'm going to cross them out as we go so we make sure we don't miss anything. So our first one's going to be 3. Our next one's going to be 5. And I think our last one is going to be 8. And if we miss any at the end, we'll go in and put them in. So now let's look at all our numbers that have a tens digit of 1. So let's see, the smallest one we have is 12. Then we have a 14, 15, and we have 2 16s. So we'll cross out both the 16s and we're going to write them twice. So we want to write every number that shows up, even if it shows up more than once. So now let's write down every number that has a tens place of 2. So all the 20s. So our smallest one is 21. Our next one is 25. And let's see what else we've got. We've got 29 that shows up twice. And I think that is all the 20s. So now we're going to do tens places of 3, so all the 30s. So we've got a 30, a 36, a 37, and a 38. And finally, we only have one number left, and it's a 48. So the tens place is a 4. So we're going to cross it out and write 48. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take all these tens places that we just wrote down here, all the tens places that show up in our data sets, we're going to put those in our stem column. So we're going to put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the leaf place, we're only going to put the ones digit of every number. So for the 0 row, the 0 stems, we have 3, 5, 8. Those are all ones digits, so we're just going to write them as is. So 3, 5, 8. For the 1 stem, which again represents the tens place, so these are all the numbers that have a 1 in the tens place, we only want to write the ones digit of each number. So for 12, we're going to write 2. For 14, we're going to write 4. For 15, we write 5. And for the 16s, we just write 6, so we're going to have 2 6s. So this row represents the numbers 12, 14, 15, 16, 16. We're going to do the same thing for the 2s in the tens place. So 21 is going to be written with a 1 in the leaf part. 25 will be written with a 5. 29s will be written with 9, so we have 2 9s. So this row represents the numbers 21, 25, 25, 21, 25, 29, 29. Same thing for the 3 tens places. So 30 is going to be written with just a 0 in the leaf column. 36 will have a 6. 37 is going to have a 7. 38 is going to have an 8. And now finally we just have 48, so we're just going to put an 8 in the leaf part of this row. So this is how we make our stem and leaf plot. And now what you always want to do is put a key so that people understand what this represents, because sometimes the stem can be the tens digit, sometimes it could be a decimal. So down here we're going to put a key, and we're just going to do something like 2 with like a line, 5 represents 25. And that's just saying if you have a 2 in the stems part and a 5 in the leaf part, that represents 25, so that people understand that in this chart, the stem is the tens digit and the leaf is the ones digit. So now let's walk through an example that involves decimals. So the second example involves decimals, but we're going to do a similar thing. So let's start by creating our table and put stem and leaf. And now for this example, because we have decimals, the stem part of our chart is going to represent the ones digit of our numbers, so the digit to the left of the decimal point. So I'm going to write ones over here. And then the leaf part is going to represent the tenths digit, which is the decimal or the digit to the right of the decimal point. So let's see, the smallest ones digit we have is 3. So we're going to write 3. And we want to write down all of our numbers that are 3 point something. We're going to cross them out as we go. So we have 3.2. And we have 3.5, 3.7, and 3.9. I think that's all of them. Let's write down our 4s. So we have 4.1. And we have 4.9. I think those are all of them. We'll write down the 5s. So we start with 5.4. We have 5.6. We have 5.7. And we have 5.9. And now finally the 6s. So we have 6.0. And we have 6.8. And we've crossed out our numbers so we know that we're finished. So now we are going to take the ones digits and put those in our stem column. So all those numbers are going to go in our stem column. So we're going to have 3, 4, 5, 6. And now to the right of those, we're going to write all of our leaves. So for 3.2, the leaf is going to be 2. For 3.5, the leaf will be 5. For 3.7, the leaf will be 7. For 3.9, the leaf will be 9. So this row represents the numbers 3.2, 3.5, 3.7, 3.9. Let's do the same thing for the 4 row. So 4.1, we're going to write a 1 in the leaf column. 4.9, we're going to write a 9. Do the same thing for the 5s. 5.4, we're going to put a 4 in the leaf column. 5.6 is going to be a 6 in the leaf column. 5.7 is a 7 in the leaf column, and 5.9 is a 9. So again, this row represents the numbers 5.4, 5.6, 5.7, 5.9. And finally, the 6s. 6.0 is going to be represented with a 0. And 6.8 will be represented with an 8. And now we can't forget our key, especially when we're doing decimals, because a lot of the time stem and leaf plots are representing whole numbers, but sometimes they are representing decimals. So our key, we're going to do something like 4 and then 1 equals 4.1. And you can really pick any number for your key. I typically pick a number that shows up in the chart just so it's easier. So I just pick one of the numbers that show up in the chart and just write that as my key so that people understand how to read the stem and leaf plot. So hopefully this video helped you guys understand how to make stem and leaf plots. If you want some more practice with problems similar to these, check out the link in our description for a free practice worksheet.